Good people of YouTube, I'm the Watch Idiot, and recently I have seen the watch trend, watch propaganda I don't fall for going around, and I have many thoughts and opinions and things that I don't fall for, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have a lot of things that you don't fall for or unpopular opinions. So in this video, I'm going to go over 4 commonly held beliefs that I think are not worthy of being held on to, although it won't include the horribly outdated idea of quartz watches are garbage. I already did an entire video on that. I'll link it somewhere here. But anyways, I'll get into thoughts about water resistance GMTs, dome crystals, and the Nautilus. And of course, it goes without saying with all videos on here, these are my opinions. You're entitled to your own, and I want to hear from you guys what you have to say about these topics and also your own thoughts about watch propaganda that you don't fall for. So yeah, let's just get into it. And I think I should go and get some popcorn for the comment section because it's going to be intense. Oh, and quick note, it's going to be watch giveaway time because we're just about to hit, or have already hit, 25,000 subscribers. So big thanks to all of you. And for that, I'll be giving away this here SSK GMT, and it's not going to focus. Right there it is. Okay, so yeah, make sure that you subscribe so that you're in the loop for when this giveaway happens. It's going to be very, very soon, and then obviously when the time comes for the actual entries. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. So yeah, this first one really bothers me, but yeah, just true or real quote unquote GMTs aren't just better than color or office GMTs. It simply comes down to how you use it. And just a quick recap, real or true supposedly GMTs, or as I like to call it, Flyer GMT movements, can independently move the local hour hand without changing anything else. So when you go to another time zone, it's just nice to be able to just click over that hour hand and off you go. Collar GMTs, which are mostly found in budget options with the likes of the ETA 2893, the Sellita SW330, and the Seiko NH34, can only move the 24-hour hand independently. This means you can change which time zone you're keeping track of while you're at home. So yeah, I don't think that this type of GMT movement is inferior in any way because it's just a different GMT function. Because for me, as cool as a local hour jumping hand is on a Flyer GMT, it's otherwise pretty much useless to me because I don't travel that much to get that much use out of it. But what I do like to do is keep track of other time zones so I can keep, my home time here on the East Coast, and then keep track of maybe some other family members out there or a particular F1 race or something like that. So I can just click it over and I'm all set, and I don't have to change my own time because I'm still here. And I can't do this anywhere near as easily with the supposedly better quote unquote real GMT unless it has a 24-hour bezel, and then you can use that, but you can use a bezel on any watch. I mean, it's more fun to click over an hour hand of some sort. Oh, and a huge practical consideration is changing the date on a Flyer GMT. It is, I think, easily the most annoying thing in the watch world. I mean, because to move forward or back a single day, you have to click the hour hand 24 hours entirely, which can mean anywhere between like 5 to 7, 8 wines for a single day. So let's say, for example, your watch dies on the 15th and is now the 2nd. You could go back 13 days, but that just feels very unnatural, and my mechanical sympathy just won't let me do that. So then if you're going forward 18 days, you would have to wind the watch 90 to 126 times. And even if you do go backwards, that's still 65 to 91 times. And that is just maddening. Honestly, at that point, I've skipped wearing said watch and just waited until it gets closer to the actual date that shows on the watch. I mean, for me, that just defeats the purpose of having the watch because I'm not wearing it when I want to. All that said, if you do travel a whole bunch, then a Flyer GMT is going to be awesome. It's going to be an absolute blessing, but hating on the ETA and Sellita GMTs, the Seiko GMTs, just needs to chill out because they are perfectly good and useful movements. Yeah, water resistance 99% of the time doesn't even matter, especially with modern watches. And this goes for all watches. And if you want to get a little bit more specific, for all established brands. What bewilders me is that people sometimes disregard a dive watch that is only water resistant to 100 meters, even though the ISO 6425 standard for dive watches only requires 100 meters. But yeah, I'll say that I have never dived before, but I do know that recreational diving, that is the absolute vast majority of diving, tops out at about 30 meters, maybe if you get really advanced, a little bit further than that. And dive watches are often tested beyond what's written on the dial. I know that Rolex and Tudor test all their watches to 10% over their stated water resistance, and then they test their dive watches to 25% over their stated water resistance. So your OP is good to at least 110 meters, and your Submariner is good to 375 meters, and my Pelagos is good to 625 meters. So I think we'll be okay in a pool, even with all that dynamic pressure, which is, you know, just a whole nother can of worms. And hey, if my word isn't enough, Jason Heaton, a very avid diver to say the least, wrote an article for Hodinkee about a dive he did with Dr. Sylvia Earle, one of the most accomplished oceanographers ever. She's pretty much been in the water since the 1950s, and during that dive, she didn't have on a 1,000-meter diver or a 500-meter diver or a 300 or 200 or even 100-meter diver. She had on a 50-meter gold Datejust. So say what you will, if she's okay with diving with that, then I mean, I think we can rest easy. And also I put the link to this article in the description. It's a really great article. And then going beyond that, so many people say that 100 meters or 200 meters is an absolute requirement for sports watches, and they won't even consider anything beyond that. And to a certain extent, I agree, because it's nice to have some peace of mind when getting a watch. 100 meters water resistance nowadays isn't really that difficult or uncommon. And with the tolerances that most modern day watches are made to, that's really not an issue. But when I see people completely dismissing a watch that's 100 meters or 50 meters water resistant, just bewilders me, because it's probably going to be fine for 5% of everything you do in your daily life. So especially if it isn't a chronograph or if it has a screw down crown of some sort. And this is something that I talked about in many watch reviews, but I will almost always choose a flat crystal over a domed crystal. Of course, I have watches with domed crystals, and sometimes it suits the watch very nicely, and that's about it. Domed crystals to me are solely an aesthetic choice, because in terms of utility and practicality, it's just got nothing on a flat crystal. The main thing that bothers me about domed crystals is the just unbearable reflection. Some watches are worse than others, but all domed crystals will show more of the world behind you just because they are convex surfaces. And yes, there are some incredible anti-reflective coatings out there, but not everyone gets it right or even uses AR coatings at all. And also, depending on how domed they are and how much they rise over the bezel, they might be more susceptible to getting hit and chipped. Flat crystals, on the other hand, are pretty much flush with the bezel, which protects them more, and then they can pretty much get rid of any reflections because they only show what's directly on them. This means that I can get a clearer view of the dial in many more situations, and it just so happens that taking photos of flat crystals is so much nicer because you get to see the full extent of the dial without having it compete with reflections. Oh, and then also, depending on how good the AR is, flat crystals can sometimes pretty much disappear and make it feel like you're just touching the dial. It's such a cool experience. So yeah, I think the 5711 is just so overrated, and the same thing goes for the Cubitus, or however you say it. I don't think that they're even worth their sticker prices, let alone their ultra inflated market prices of like $120,000, $150,000. So yeah, that just blows my mind. That said, I should add that the more complicated versions of the Nautilus are very cool, you know, based on the different complications, and can be in many ways more value for the money. First things first, the 5711 as a watch is a solid watch. There's no doubt about that. Patek makes great stuff. It's beautifully finished. It's got a great movement. It feels great on the wrist, but that's to be expected when the sticker price is, at least at that time, was $36,000. But when I actually got to try on and wear the olive 5711 when it came out, it didn't really strike me as anything very special, especially for that sticker price. The dial didn't look especially noteworthy, and the bracelet is just a fairly normal feeling H-link bracelet. And for some reason, on the wrist, it didn't feel anywhere as comfortable as a Royal Oak or literally any Rolex. So yeah, it's worth a lot, and there is inherent value in the watch, but nowhere near $35,000, because in the end, it's a steel watch with an automatic movement and a date. But the second aspect of this lack of value comes in when I consider the competition, which is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak and the Vacheron Overseas. The equivalent Royal Oak, the 15202 back in the day, and now the 15510, comes in at about $28,000 as this MSRP. So that's nearly $10,000 less than the Nautilus. And it's a Holy Trinity watch made by Genta. It's got an awesome movement and an awesome looking tapisserie dial, and in my opinion, a far more striking case and bracelet combination. And yeah, it's absolutely not $10,000 less of a watch. And then we have the Overseas, which is a little bit more of a low-key watch, but it still has an absolutely incredible looking bracelet. And I just love how the Maltese cross is integrated into the links, and then on top of that, some versions throw in a quick change rubber strap and a leather strap, and all for about $25,000, and that's just way better value from a Holy Trinity brand. Oh, and then to make things even better, the amazing dual time version retails, last I checked, around like $31,000, and that's a stunning watch. And I was gonna go longer talking about in-house movements or power reserves on the dial, but this video would get a little bit too long. Maybe next time. So let me know what you all think about everything I said and what you guys think about watch propaganda you don't fall for down in the comments. And until the next video, good day.